up next on Life on Air.
Right after I got done with cheerleading, I was able to say I had my own show with the team that I love so much.
Former NFL cheerleader turned TV host Shanna Hilt talks about how she made the transition from pom-poms to life in front of the camera. Plus, she reveals why she turned down the opportunity to be on The Bachelor.
When I thought about it, I thought about how I don't want to be known as the girl who was on The Bachelor and maybe looked like a train wreck one night or maybe got emotional one night.
The Kansas City Chiefs' Shanna Hilt is next on Life on Air. Hey everybody, welcome to Life on Air. This is Tim Tialdo, and you have reached the podcast for the TV hosting industry. My job is to connect you with the experts and help you to become the best host you can be. Now, for you cheerleaders out there, you NFL cheerleaders who are looking to parlay your career in cheering into something on camera, I have a very special guest for you today. She's a very good friend of mine. I kind of refer to her as my little sis in broadcasting. We've been through a lot together in the hosting community, and she is fresh off a Mid-America Emmy win. Her show for the Kansas City Chiefs, Red and Gold, won Best Magazine Program. I am so proud of her. She was the Chiefs cheerleading captain for 7 years. She is now I would call her a full-time TV host. So, Shanna Hilt, it's so good to have you on the program.
Hi, it's great to be on here always, and you are my big brother.
Well, it's fun to be your big brother, and we've watched you grow throughout the years, and of course you were my co-host on Spot TV in St. Louis. So I want you to talk about, kind of go back to your cheerleading career and how that kind of developed you and really made you want to be on TV.
Well, actually I started in cheerleading right out of college, and it was just such a fun experience to know that I was going to be an NFL cheerleader, and that was just a natural step after dancing in college. And so I got on there, and I had the unique experience of that first year was the first time they had had an agreement with the Department of Defense to do USO tours. And so I worked with them to help develop the show. For about, it was a 2-hour show that went from like the 30s to the millennium with tap dancing, singing. I was the MC of the show, and it was just an extraordinary experience. Well, we actually took that show for about 6 years after that, all around the world. Our first stop being in Guantanamo Bay, from Egypt to all the way through Germany, Iceland, Greenland, every location you could possibly imagine, El Salvador, Honduras. And during that time, I was the MC for that, and I also kind of became the representative, I guess you could say, for any of the TV, the radio appearances, anything they need internationally and locally. And so I kind of became the voice of the Chiefs cheerleaders, and that was a really exciting thing for me. I have actually majored in broadcasting, and so to be able to apply that into that world, which I love so much, it was so cool to be able to do both of those. And so just having that experience and doing that. And then after I had been on the team for probably about 6 years, it was during my 7th year on the team, and they started really revamping what the stadium production looks like, from the stadium MCs to the pre-show to the post-show entertainment, all that good stuff. And just having the experience I did as a cheerleader doing the USO tour, being the MC, and they'd be able to use me for different commercials, they knew they could count on me to be kind of part of that pilot, if you will. So I just started piloting some new things for them, and they were kind of using me to be a test dummy, more or less. And I remember my last year on the team, it was just a great year. I'd been Pro Bowl cheerleader, I had been the captain, I had done all these things, and I was like, you know what, nothing could top that career as a cheerleader. I just had so much fun, and they kind of nicknamed me the Fossil, so I decided to retire. And so my last year on the team, I decided I told them I was going to help out with tryouts. And so I came back, and I'll never forget when the vice president of our media came up and he said, hey, I kind of want to use you for a test dummy for a new show that we're doing. Over 50% of the fan base in the NFL are women, and there's not a lot of shows out there that are targeted just to women, and so I kind of want to test you out. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, do you want me to be the host? And he's like, well, I don't know. We might actually bring someone in for it, so we just kind of want to use you as a test pilot. And so I did that pilot for the show, and it was such a hit. Our president loved it. Our owners loved it. And they immediately said, no, we want her as our host. So right after I got done with cheerleading, I was able to say I had my own show with the team that I love so much, and just kind of be able to do that and really pour my love for not only football, which I had definitely gained, but also just, the cheering and the crowd and just really being attached to our fans. I mean, some of our fans even knew me, from just my cheerleading days. So that was fun. So it kind of poured right over into there. And then from there, we've taken it a step further with, I've been able to, again, do some military tours, actually, but with the team this time. So some of the players will actually go and visit our military, and I'll go and see and just kind of be the voice of the Chiefs. And what a really cool experience was this year I was actually able to introduce the entire team for the 2012 season, which was really neat to be able to do that and be part of that experience. And Mitch Holtis is the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, which anyone who knows Mitch, he's just absolutely a fireball. You got to love Mitch. And to be able to just stand up there and MC with him and to be part of that and some of the programming that they're doing with him is just such a cool experience. And to work with Josh Looney as well, Josh Looney was another voice. And so it was kind of Josh Looney, myself, and Mitch Holtis for a while. And Josh Looney actually just got picked up by the NCAA. So he moved on. And so it's just been a really cool experience to be able to do and to be able to do some things on the side as just from having that experience. So I intend with everything I have to stay within that industry. And so once you start doing things in front of the camera, you know this, Tim, that you're kind of addicted.
Oh gosh, it's hard to ever get away. And coming from a cheerleading background, what an awesome training ground, especially in the NFL. I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs Arrowhead Stadium is classically known as the loudest stadium in the NFL. So you being in charge of, I don't even know how many girls are on the team, in front of 80,000 raging, screaming Chiefs maniacs, really must have helped you just to be able to get in front of people and perform.
It really, really did. And I think it comes down to, that's exactly it. Like, as a cheerleader, you have to have your game face on all the time. On appearances, on the field, you have to be in tip-top shape. You have to be smiling, even when you're sad. And so, it really does train you to be on. And while I was doing that, I was also being a leader for the girls on the field. And I was also being told out, and, even by local news stations. Metro Sports, I remember, their actual reporter went home sick one day, and they knew that I had done some stuff, so they pulled me from the field to do their interviews. And so it's just exciting for me, because I love the adrenaline of doing that stuff, and to be able to incorporate what I've learned as a cheerleader, to be a positive role model, to as far as projection, poise, to relate to our fans, and to just, really have that personality. It's been a very cool transfer.
Now, NFL cheerleaders obviously have a little bit of an advantage coming out. When you're beautiful, you can obviously translate to the camera very well, and people take to that very quickly. But I know that there's also challenges that go along with making that transition just to TV. Yes, you're beautiful. Yes, you can perform. But talk about some of the, kind of the obstacles that you ran into when you first got on camera compared to just being in front of an audience.
One of the obstacles that I ran into is that a little bit of, I wasn't really sure what to do with my hands. And that sounds so funny, but, I in broadcast journalism, you're trained to stay within a box, a very tight box. And then on the field with the fans, I was so huge. My personality was so large, and I was trying to connect to that person at the top of the stadium, that 801 fan, that's on the very top of the stadium. So it's just, I had to learn how to transfer that to someone on the other side of the camera and act like I was talking to them personally, not an entire stadium of people, but just one person. And so that was a little bit difficult to learn how to do that. But the part that was really easy was the part of not having to act it. There was never any part where I felt scared in front of the camera or I couldn't pull it off, because when you're a cheerleader, you're taught to just go with whatever happens. You're taught flexibility, and you're taught how to speak eloquently, but also be able to speak just right off the cuff. And that transfers very well at working on the camera coming from cheerleading. Now,
going from cheerleading to TV, there are what seems to be a lot of cheerleaders that try and take shortcuts. They want to be on TV. They want to be on national TV, and they're going to do anything they can to get there. So you see a ton of girls, applying for shows like The Bachelor. There was Stacy Keibler, who went through the WWE and became a diva. I know you've dealt with some of those temptations to possibly do some of those shows. Talk about, your thought process behind why you didn't.
Well, I actually had the chance to be on The Bachelor, and it was actually the season that Jake was going to be Jake the pilot was on. I don't know if you ever watched it.
Thank God you didn't go. Wow.
So that was the season that he was going to be on. And, and I think that, just from coming from a faithful standpoint, I think that it was just such a blessing that it didn't work out between the networks and an agreement with a few things. But when I think about it, I'm like, those shows are so fun, and those networks do such a great job with them. But when it comes down to it, it's your reputation on the line, and you have to live with that forever. And so when I thought about it, I thought about how I don't want to be known as the girl who was on The Bachelor and maybe looked like a train wreck one night, or maybe got emotional one night, or maybe, or maybe someone read something that wasn't favorable about me, or maybe they edited something where it made me sound like a complete ditch. And so it's like, you have to really think about that and think, because your reputation on TV, your reputation anywhere is everything. And so even if you just stay locally forever with what you do on the camera, I mean, if I would have done The Bachelor, how I was perceived on that show is how I was perceived in life. And someone's perception of you is everything to them. It's their reality. And so I chose, actually, that my perception and my reputation be a good one.
And as you well know, once you put it out there, you can't get it back.
Oh, I always tell people, everyone always asks me why I'm not on Facebook, and I'm like, because Facebook is forever. Like, once something's on Facebook, it's forever. Like, people will always remember that it was out on social media or it was out on something. And so, I'm very, very cautious about what I put out on social media, and I'm very, very private. And just because I do know, like, even in your hometown, you can list off 5 people that are on TV or radio that have put something out there that's less than favorable. And so I really, really try not to do that.
Well, you're doing a good job, and I guess that's a good, kind of reference to give some advice to, people out there, women out there who are wanting to do what you're doing. I mean, you see shows out there right now like the Dallas Cowboy Cheerleaders tryouts, and you've watched the Chiefs kind of really grow their tryouts, and there are hundreds, if not thousands, of girls coming through the door every season saying, I want to be the next big thing. I want to get out there. I want to put on the makeup. I want to put on the uniform and make it big. Maybe some advice for those people who are coming into that thought process.
Well, you know what? It's you can't come into, especially with the Chiefs, and I can't speak for all of them, but they'll see right through that. What they're looking for is authenticity. They're looking for girls who want to be part of that program and want to be a cheerleader, not for girls who want an avenue into another door, into another room. And so they're definitely looking for authenticity. So I would say, yeah, absolutely, you can use that as a stepping stone, but also use it in the right way. It's not about the uniform, and it's not about where it can get you. It's about that experience. And so I would also say I would do it so many times over, even if it never led to me having a show, or even if it never led to me being part of anything. And so, because it's just a cool experience to be a cheerleader.
Well, I know there's so many big things ahead of you, and once again, I am so proud of you for your Mid-America Emmy win and just how far you've come since we first started working together. So congratulations again, and thanks so much for being part of the podcast today.
Absolutely, and I have to say, Tim, thanks so much, and I actually don't think I could have made the last several steps in my life over the last few years without you, because you've just been able to push me and train me, so you are amazing. So I'm sending you a kiss. Mwah.
Oh, well, that's why you're my little sis. Mwah, right back at you. Folks, that is Shanna Hilt, and if you want to check her out on her show, it's called Red and Gold. It's on the Kansas City Chiefs website. You can see it. It's really, really well produced and really well done, and obviously Shanna brings that extra element to it. So Shanna Hilt, thanks again for being here. And folks, remember, the only way to predict your future, much like Shanna Hilt has, is to go out and create it. Now go do it. We'll see you next week.